Ban pen ngo tho kham bhasha ki pat ba halor ki jing man toy lani ki jing duna ki be dei bat ki jing pen trai kam ya ka National Education Policy arja arpho ka Assam Downtown University ha ka khatsan trai uno pra arja arpulai kala penlong ya program Educators Conclave Shillong chapter. Yakani ka program ka bala penlong Hamoru Institute of Integral Training MIIT ha ka bala lom lang ya ki real start ki ban ya mirjumot halor ka ne ka mat ki ba kontop na do ka Dr. Sister Philomena Karakor ka balong ru kum ka kongsan ha ka tegasngi Professor Dr. Pranveer Singh Pro Vice Chancellor jong Assam Downtown University ka Sister Judith Shadap Secretary ka Women for Integrated Sustainable Empowerment lani ka Wise uba Manuel Badwar na lor kiwe Hakani ka singila sakhi ek jingwan bani shimbanta na do ki nohi ka school ki college prepare ki samla puli bat kiwe.
People must be prepared, the teachers must be prepared because they have to do a lot of work to empower themselves to be able of service to the students.
NEP is having one feature that Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge system, and if you see that in India, the different parts of India, we are having our own derivation and innovations in the terms of pharmaceutical, in the terms of medicine, in the terms of the culture also, the variation. And we can inculcate those things, and there is a special feature in NEP. And there we have to learn that the other states' culture also, not only limited to the India, but it is that to learn the culture of the other part of the world.
So this NEP actually opens that door where students have the opportunity to explore their potentials, explore their talents with the choice-based system and the vocational courses. Yes, but in many ways, like for the case of Meghalaya, NEP came so suddenly that we were caught unprepared. So there should have been much better preparation to meet the challenges of this NEP, because NEP demands a lot from institutions, demands infrastructure, facilities, and so many other things. So many of the education institutions, I think almost all education institutions here in Meghalaya have a problem of meeting that demand. But like Sir said, we addressing the cultural diversity of India, that giving importance to indigenous knowledge systems, IKS, traditional knowledge system, TKS, which is part of the NEP program, is something that's very, very, very important, especially in this world age, where oftentimes modern scientific knowledge can't, explain a lot of things, can't do a lot of things, where, for example, ethno-medicinal knowledge of peoples is now playing a huge role in the pharmaceutical industry also, and bringing out a lot of new medicines which were not known before. So, in terms of the NEP is a good thing, it's a major paradigm shift. The only thing is we lack the preparation, and this is where the challenges really are.
Basically, the National Education Policy focus on 18 action points, and among the 18 action points, 2 action points which relates to your question on how it will be effective for Northeastern region is, one is onto Indian knowledge system, one is a recommendation of NEPS onto Indian knowledge system. So by integrating our knowledge of the culture in Northeast region, we can project it with other states and union territories in the countries. And one more recommendations of NEP is vocationalization of education. So as we see that in the Northeastern region, we have a talent pool, a pool of talent. Students are very talented once they are properly guided. So we are trying to host students to NEP by implementing NEP. If we mold students onto vocational training, that's how we can project artifacts which is produced from our Northeastern region to compatible with the rest of the country.
my understanding of how NEP is actually beneficial for society as such is very plain and simple. I think we've been living too long with an education policy which is, I won't say substandard, but it's not matching with the times. And I think this NEP is very critical. It has come after a long overdue. Yes, it is drastic because it's not phase-wise as far as implementation is concerned. But then, if you look at it from a perspective of how humans normally react to anything which is drastic, I remember SBI at one point of time when they started computerizing banking. There's a lot of SBI employees who were against it. Yeah? But over a period of time, I think it became a benefit for society as such. And I believe that the education system also requires that revamping. And this revamp is very, very critical because if you notice, even during our days when we studied, we reach a certain point of time in life when we had to decide exactly what courses do we want to take or what courses is suitable for us. It was very difficult for us to do that soul searching. As a student, I found it difficult. Because yes, as some of the panelists have said, that we do have a lot of talent. But how do we hold that talent into something which is probably productive is something which is very critical for us as students. And the same question arises for each and every student in today's world. And in today's world, when you see that everything has become knowledge-based, when you can't just constrain yourself to only a few things, like for instance, the education system today revolves around PCM. If you're a science student, then you study PCM. If you want to be a doctor, you do PCB. If you can't reach those places, then you start doing something. Like law, for instance, is something which students opt only when there's no other choices. And for that matter, it becomes a filtration kind of a process where people don't really get to understand themselves. And I think the NEP, in a way, is trying to address that to a very large extent. And so, how will it benefit us as a society in this part of the world where we claim to have a lot of talent and we are sure that we do have? I think NEP would be that guiding star in which, in some way or the other. But having said that, there are obviously a lot of challenges that we'll probably discuss in the later stage. Yeah?
What challenges might arise in implementing NEP's multidisciplinary and holistic education approach in the northeastern states?
That will arise in northeastern states in particular is the fact that our education system is not so robust. I mean, I would like to hear a little bit more from Sir, because he's been an educationist in many other parts of the country, and I think there would arise a certain lacunas that exist in at least in this region. These lacunas has to be taken care of, as again Sister had said just now, that we have to be ready. So as a region, I think the spending in education is not very robust. I believe that at least as far as government spendings are concerned. So there's an earmark that has been set, at least from the national perspective, that 6% of the budget on a yearly basis will be allocated for education. And that would be a big jump from what it is today, which is currently hovering at 2.7, 2.8. So obviously the money will be there. What I fear most is that the opportunistic way of how politics is being conducted in this part of the country is that most of these governments look at it as an opportunity to probably make merry, and that is the most dangerous part. And I see that happening in many states. We jump to it because we know that there's a certain budget that has been allocated from the center, but as far as implementation is concerned, it's just not about the money. We also have to have a very robust infrastructure in place. And when I say infrastructure, I mean hard as well as soft infrastructure. We are not ready for that yet, so probably it'll be a very difficult phase for educationists, especially as such, for teachers like yourselves, and people who really want to do something good for the state. And it's definitely going to be challenging, there's no denying about that. We need strong policies, but we need strong visions as well. And that challenges will exist, and those challenges will continue to exist, and I don't see that we are going to make merry in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years also. And I don't know what will happen to our kids and our children in at least the foreseeable future, because it's going to be very, very difficult. Because many other states are going to be able to adopt these kind of practices very fast. But in Northeast, in particular, in Meghalaya, I feel that definitely the challenges are huge. So my only saying is, submission is that probably we have to be mentally ready, especially educationists, especially teachers and principals and so on and so forth, who are deeply involved in education, must totally be ready and voice out also the opinions, because it is very, very critical. This is nothing to do with politics, it's nothing to do with anything, but I think it's something to do with what is so critical for our region.
One of the main, the big challenges, among the big challenges that we are facing is that, you see, if we are talking only of the town schools, very well, somehow it will work out, and institutions will make every effort to set up infrastructure or set up a space and create a space for all this learning. But you just go to the suburb schools around in the interior villages, because I live in the villages most of the time. When I see one smaller than this a classroom from nursery up to class 3, up to class 6, I don't know how it will be. That is one of the big challenges when we come to think, because it is not only for the cities in the town, but also it has to penetrate to the villages.
In the cities, it varies from city to city, from area to area. We have also to understand the cultural education background of the people. There are the stakeholders, the parents, the teachers, the students, and the university. So if all these are not made to understand and instruct and show the possibilities of translating the plan of the NEP, it will be very difficult, because the teachers need to be trained, and although as Sir Manuel said that there is enough money, but how do we train, how do we plan to have infrastructure for so many numerous unreachable villages? You cannot reach there, there's no road, but there are schools, and they also need to be to benefit from this holistic planning of the country. And NEP has to be translated accordingly and in stages, not in a mass manner. It has to be spelled out and also handled within a small group.